Kia ora ana, and welcome to the beautiful island of Rarotonga. Today we are going to be doing a wake up morning yoga flow because it is morning here, and as you can tell I'm on a little bit of a lean, so you may have to bear with me as I switch and change to work out this leveling. But yeah, like I said, we're going to do a morning routine today. We're going to open through the chest and the heart, preparing ourselves to take on the day. So we're actually going to begin in child's pose today. So coming over onto your knees, bringing your big toes together, your knees as wide as the mat, and sinking the hips back to the heels. And then bringing the arms forward and lowering the head down to the mat. Tuning into the breath and into the body, finding yourself in this space. Then on an inhale, we're going to roll round through the spine, rolling up, coming forward. The heels may part for this as you drop the hips down and begin to open up through the chest. Lifting the hips, bringing those heels back together as you sink back to your child's pose. Inhale as you round through the spine, coming forward, dropping those hips. And then lifting the hips and sinking back to your child's pose. So just continuing to flow here like this, moving with your breath, so coming forward and down on an inhale, and then exhaling back. Curving through the spine as you come up, dropping those hips, open through the chest, and lifting the hips and sinking back. 2 more times, moving in your own time. Then holding here in your child's pose for a breath. Coming up onto the hands and knees into your tabletop position, so walking those knees in under the hips, your hands in under the shoulders, and then again just moving with your breath, dropping the belly, opening through the chest on an inhale, and exhale, curving that spine. I'm definitely trying to warm up my back a little bit today, as yesterday I went for a hike and it was all well and good until I went for a swim in the waterfall, got out and went to put my shoe on and twinged my back. So this is just as much for me as it is for you. And then coming to a neutral spine here and keeping those hips over the knees, walking the hands forward and lowering the chest down into puppy pose. So your forehead can come to the mat here in puppy, or if you feel like you've got the room for it today, you might lift the head off the mat and bring the chin to the mat. Just beginning to create some space in that chest area. And on an inhale, beginning to lift up, walking the hands back, coming back through your tabletop position, tucking the toes, and beginning to lift those knees off the mat ever so slightly, engaging the core. And then from here, beginning to send the hips up towards the sky and walking through the legs, one leg at a time, coming into your downward dog. You might want to walk the hands a little bit further forward here. So just warming up, this is your first downward dog of the day. So just feeling your way into it. I can already tell this is going to be a really sandy class for me. And then really lengthening through the spine and just breathing into your downward facing dog.
So we really want to focus on length here. So if you find that your spine is a little rounded, you can just bend those knees a little bit so you can find that length. On your next inhale, bend the knees up between the hands and step the feet forward, taking as many steps as you need to bring those feet between the hands. On an inhale, find length for a half lift, so hands can come to the shins, the thighs, the floor, whatever feels best for you. And exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down into the feet, reaching those arms up overhead. And exhale, hands down in front of the heart. Hands come down beside you, palms faced out. Roll those shoulders down away from the ears, opening up towards the front of the mat. Breathe in here. Then on your next inhale, sweep those arms up overhead. And as you exhale, bend at the elbows, open through the chest. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend and open. Inhale, lifts you up. And exhale, bends, opens the elbows. And this time we're going to sweep those hands down behind the back, clasping the hands and noticing which pinky is on the bottom. So you can open through that chest here. Taking an inhale. And as you exhale, keeping that clasp, bending into the knees and folding forward over the legs, allowing those hands to come up towards the sky. Now it doesn't matter where the position of your hands are. They might be towards your back a little bit more, they might be a little bit more overhead. Just whatever works for you here. This is your class, your practice, so it's about you making it work for you. Releasing the clasp of the hands, bringing them down to the mat and stepping back into your plank pose. So first plank, grounding down through the hands, shoulders are over the wrists, we're lengthening through the body, crown of the head towards the front of the mat, sending energy out through the backs of the heels. Then lower the knees down and we're going to come through knees, chest and chin. So knees on the mat, bringing those elbows in beside the body as you lower the chest and the chin down. Inhale, glide through, lifting the chest for baby cobra. Now in baby cobra, you should be able to lift your hands off the mat and it doesn't affect your position at all. Taking another breath here. Then on your next exhale, grounding down into the knees, lifting up, tucking those toes to come back for your down dog. Now inhale, lifts that right leg up. Exhale, bringing the knee towards the nose, curving through the spine as you do. Step that foot forward between the hands. Lower that back knee and lift up, opening up towards the front of the mat. Then bending the elbows on an exhale, open through that chest again. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend and open. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend and open. Sweeping those hands down to the mat, lifting that back knee off the mat, and stepping back to your plank position. So you have another option here. You can come through knees, chest and chin, or you can this time come through a half chaturanga. So keeping those elbows over the wrists, we're coming forward with the chest, keeping the elbows tucked in towards the body as we lower down halfway in half chaturanga. Push through back to that baby cobra, or this time you might like to ground down into the hands and lift up a little higher for a fuller cobra. Exhale, keeping those knees on the mat, tucking the toes, lifting the hips from here. Inhale, lifts that left leg this time. Exhale, curve through the spine as you bring the knee towards the nose. Step that foot forward and lower that right knee. Open through the chest and lift the arms up on an inhale. Bend and open as you exhale. Inhale, lift the hands above your head. Exhale, bend and open. Turn the palms towards the front of the mat so you can open through that chest a little bit more. Inhale, lifts the arms. Exhale, open. Sweeping those hands down to the mat, tucking those back toes and stepping back to your plank. Options here, your knees, chest and chin or half chaturanga. We're still warming up. Push through into your baby or higher cobra. And then onto the knees to tuck the toes and lift up to your down dog. Bend the knees up between the hands and step those feet forward. Come into your half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down into the feet, reaching those arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Palms come down beside you, facing towards that top of the mat. Shoulders down away from the ears, breathing here. Then inhale, reach those arms overhead. And as you exhale, bend and open. Inhale, lifts the arms. Exhale, open. Inhale, lift. Exhale, open. Then sweeping the hands behind the back, clasping with the other pinky on the bottom this time. Remember, I asked you to take note. So you can open through that chest a little bit more, sending those fingertips towards the mat. Then on your next exhale, bend the knees and fold forward over the legs, keeping that clasp with the hands. Then releasing the hands to the mat and stepping back into your plank position. This time, option to come through a chaturanga, a full chaturanga. So in full chaturanga, we keep our knees off the mat as we come forward, lowering down halfway and then push through for cobra. And as you come through for cobra, you can lower those thighs down onto the mat and the knees. Open through the chest, breathing here, then tucking the toes and sending the hips up and back for your down dog. Inhale, lifts that right leg. Exhale, knee towards the nose, curling through the spine as you do. Stepping that right foot forward. Now option here to lower that back knee as we did before, or lift up this time into a high lunge. Breathing in your lunge. Now as you exhale, bend and open through the elbows. And this time we're going to sweep those hands back, clasping again, opening through the chest. And then from here we're going to fold forward, taking that right elbow to the inner right knee. Arms come overhead. Inhale, lifts you up through center. Unclasping the hands and lowering that back heel parallel to the short side of the mat. Your front heel is going to intersect that back arch of the foot. And extend your arms long for warrior two. Breathing here, feeling powerful in your warrior. Tell yourself, I am strong. Then taking the right elbow to the right knee and reaching that left arm overhead. Side angle. Exhale, sweeps that left hand down to the mat, followed by the right. Stepping back into your plank. Coming through your version of chaturanga. So knees, chest and chin, half chaturanga or full chaturanga. Into your cobra. And back to your down dog. Inhale, lifts that left leg. Exhale, curve through the spine as you bring that knee towards the nose and step the foot forward. Inhale, lifts you up. Exhale, bend at the elbows, open through the chest, and then sweeping the hands back behind you, clasping the other pinky on the bottom to open through the chest. Breathe in here. Then taking that left shoulder to the inner left knee, reaching the arms up. Breathe in here. Connecting to the breath, connecting to the body. An inhale brings you up through center, so you can lower that back foot parallel to the short side of the mat and come through your warrior two. Then leaning the chest forward, taking the elbow to the left knee, reaching that right arm overhead. Circling that right hand down to the mat, coming back through your plank. Now taking your version of chaturanga, and this time if upward facing dog in your practice, you can go there. I'm going to stick with cobra, just being on the sand, it feels a little better. And then back to your down dog. And bending the knees, looking between the hands and stepping forward. Find your half lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold over the legs. Ground down into the feet, reaching those arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep those arms up. This time exhale, bringing the palms together in front of the heart as you fold forward. Inhale, half lift. And plant your hands and step back through your plank. Come through your version of chaturanga into your cobra and back to your down dog. Inhale, lifts the right leg. Exhale, steps it between the hands. Lifting up for that high lunge. Bend at the elbows and sweep the hands behind the back. Opening up here. Right elbow to inner right knee. Right shoulder, sorry, to inner right knee. Inhale, lifts you up. Dropping that back heel, losing my balance on the sand. Dropping that back heel and opening up to your warrior two. It's okay if you lose your balance, you just come back into it. Then taking that right elbow to the right knee, left arm comes overhead. Now option to stay here if this feels best for you today, or option to take that right hand down to the right ankle. Further option is to take the left hand behind the back, take the right arm under the right leg and clasp the hands together as you open through the chest. Breathe in here. Then releasing the hands down to the mat and stepping back through your plank. Come through your version of chaturanga into your cobra or upward dog and back to your down dog. Inhale, lifts the left leg. Exhale, knee to nose, step the foot forward. Lift up for your high lunge. Bend the elbows, open through the chest, and then sweep those hands back. Opposite clasp of the fingers as you open through the chest. Left elbow to left inner knee. Inhale, lift, dropping that back heel parallel to the short side of the mat, opening up to warrior two. Left elbow, left knee, right arm overhead for side angle. Now we're remembering we have some options here. Stay here if here feels good. Option to take the left hand down to the inner left ankle, or also option to take that right hand behind the back, left hand under that left leg to clasp and open through the chest. Releasing the hands and coming back to plank. Come through your chaturanga, into your cobra, and back to your down dog. Now from here we're going to bend the knees and bring the knees down onto the mat. And we're going to lengthen up tall through the spine here. And taking our hands to our lower back. Breathing here, we're coming into camel pose. So our hands are coming to support our lower back as we begin to open up through that front body, bringing those elbows in towards one another. They don't have to be touching or anything, that's probably impossible. Just taking the action of bringing them in towards one another, opening through the chest. Those hips ascending forward towards the front of the mat. As we open up, and as you open up through the chest, you may find you begin to lean back slightly. Breathing here. Inhale, coming back through center. Now this time, option to tuck the toes under, as we're going to take our hands back towards our heels. If you do not feel comfortable with that, totally fine. Keep your hands on your hips, or you may choose to bring some blocks or props in behind you or beside your ankles here to lift you up a little bit more. I don't have blocks today, so I'm just going to go for my ankles, and if that doesn't feel good, I'll just come back to hands on hips. So listen to your body. If you come into a fuller extension and it doesn't feel good and you want to come back out of it, then do so. Again, this is your practice, make it work for you. So as we inhale, finding length through the spine, shoulders back away from the ears, elbows taking that action in towards one another as you open through the chest, beginning to send the hips forward. And then if you want to take one hand to one ankle and the other to the other, then option to do so. Lifting up and opening through the front body here. Then bringing one hand to the back body, the other back, and lifting up. Untucking the toes, taking the hips back to the heels, and this time keeping the knees in towards one another as you take the hands down the side of the body and lower the head towards the mat. Breathing here in your child's pose. And then from here, coming up to sit on your mat. And we're going to extend the right leg out long and take the left sole of the foot to the inner right thigh. Reaching those arms overhead on an inhale and folding forward towards that right foot. Hands can come wherever they feel good. They might be on your thigh, your shin, around your foot, whatever feels best for you here. Knowing that it is the morning, so mornings are quite often different to evenings as well. You may have a little bit more room to move in the evenings than you do in the mornings. Then releasing the clasp of the foot or the leg, taking the left hand behind you
and the right hand to the outer left knee. From here we're going to ground down into that left knee, the right foot, and begin to lift the hips up and reach that right arm overhead. Breathing into that front body. Exhale, lower down. Coming back through center, extending that left leg, bending the right knee. Inhale, reaching those arms overhead, and exhale, fold forward, wherever feels good for you. And also knowing that if one leg is different to the other, that's okay. Quite often we have a little bit more room to move on one side than the other. So if you're not going as deeply on this side, don't panic. It's just part of the journey and the process. Different sides of the body are different. Inhale, coming back through center. Taking that left hand to the outer right knee, right hand behind you in a twist. Then grounding down into that right hand, the left foot, the right knee, open through that front body. And exhale, lower back down to the mat. And you can bring your feet to the mat and lower down onto your back for a Shavasana. I'm not going to go there today because my mat is super sandy, but option to do so. If you are, then take your soles of the feet to the mat, reaching your arms forward and lowering down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Once you have found your way onto the mat, then extend your legs and just allow your feet to drop open. And take your arms down beside you, palms faced up, just relaxing in your Shavasana. If you have opted to not take a Shavasana with me today, then you may stay seated and just bring the hands onto the knees. And simply just allowing yourself a moment to let go and release, releasing the practice, releasing any thoughts about what you've got going on next, but just giving yourself the space and time to simply be. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, is letting go and just being. Now, if you're laying down, beginning to wiggle through the fingers and the toes. Allow that movement to get bigger through the wrists and the ankles. Then taking a full body stretch before bending the knees and rolling to the right side. Now, wherever you are, laying down or seated, just take a moment here for gratitude. Finding something to be grateful for that has either already happened in your day or something in your life that you are overall grateful for. Pause and reflect on that for a moment. Feeling that feeling of gratitude. And when you're ready, for those of you on your side, coming up and join us in seated. We're going to take our hands down beside us and inhale, reach them overhead, joining the hands together, and then lowering the hands down in front of the heart in prayer position. Thank you so much for joining me today in this beautiful yoga flow in the gorgeous islands of Rarotonga. I hope you have enjoyed our practice and you have woken up and you are feeling alive and ready to take on the day. Bringing the hands together to the forehead, Namaste. Now you know what to do. If you like this class, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, then hit the subscribe button, or bell, whatever it is. And hit the notification bell to see when videos drop. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.